everyone, welcome back. It's Lucy, and today I'm going to be talking about why I no longer use cure-centered language when I'm talking about my disabilities. So, when I was first diagnosed with Crohn's when I was 15 years old, in my mind, there was a huge part of me that was holding on to the hope and the optimism that maybe someday there would be a cure. Keeping in mind, during this time, I was really young, I was freshly diagnosed, and I didn't know a single person in the IBD community, and I wasn't involved in the IBD community or advocacy or events in any way. So, that being said, I had difficulty accepting my condition and just coming to terms with and embracing the fact that this was going to be my new normal. And so, in hindsight, I think that struggle with accepting reality was a big reason why I was so focused on finding a cure. Because in the mind of a 15-year-old that's just diagnosed with a lifelong chronic illness, I think that my mind basically went to, well, someday it's got to be better, or someday it's got to go away. They must find a cure at some point, and so there's no way that I am going to have to live with this for the rest of my life. And so that's what I thought for a long time when I was a teenager, and when I did start going to events and becoming involved in the IBD community when I was 18, I still really held on to that belief. And then was more vocal about it because I was involved in events and advocacy and the community at large. And when I fundraised for organizations, I used language strongly around finding a cure. I was very cure-centric. And over time, that slowly started to change. And now I no longer use language that's so heavily focused around a cure as the end-all be-all, and I'm going to explain why. Because there is no cure currently, those of us that are dealing with IBD rely on medications, therapies, and treatments to deal with our IBD on a day-to-day basis. And that is just as important, if not more important, in my opinion, than finding a cure. So I personally think it's important to fundraise and raise awareness about the production of medications and treatments and research and innovation and improvement to help those of us living with IBD in the meantime while there is no cure. I am currently in remission thanks to the medications that I am on now and the lifestyle that I live. And for me, that is the closest to a cure that I feel like I can possibly be. And I owe that to the medications and treatments that I'm on. And so I think it's important that we have medications and treatments for everyone out there to achieve that remission, even if it doesn't mean having a cure. This leads me to my second and main point, which is that I think that there is more to living with a disability than waiting for a cure. I am sure that not everybody in the chronic illness community shares this belief, but speaking from personal experience as somebody that was diagnosed at a very young age and was very reluctant to accept my reality and embrace and feel empowered by my disability, I believe that letting go of the focus on a cure and embracing what it means to have a disabled identity and to live with a chronic illness has actually helped me lead a healthier, more optimistic life. Again, I can only speak from personal experience, but when I was younger and I was so focused on that being the end goal that maybe someday there would be a cure that could take it all away and I could go back to a normal life, I wasn't that happy, and I felt like nothing in the meantime would be good enough or live up to an eventual cure. Now that I have embraced my disability and learned coping mechanisms to deal with it in healthy ways, I feel like I can focus on other aspects of my life and not feel like I'm holding out for something that may not even come in the future. As someone who has anxiety, I find this extremely hard personally to not look towards the future and to not kind of obsess over things that may happen, what could be, what could happen, what if. But the more and more that I try to live in the present, the more and more I feel at ease with my disease and I feel more able to control it on a day-to-day basis. A big part of having a chronic illness is feeling like things are out of your control, because a lot of the time they are. You can feel like you don't have autonomy over your own body, or you can feel like your IBD or your chronic illness is affecting your life in other ways that you feel like is out of your grasp. And I've felt like that for a long time, and I probably will always feel like that to an extent. But if I am constantly looking forward to the future for a cure that may or may not happen, then I am not living in the present and looking around myself and finding the best decisions and treatments and support systems that work for me and help me now. I don't want to be so focused on finding a cure and looking so far into the future that I get 20 years into the future and I look back and I forgot to live in the present, and I forgot to advocate for new therapies and treatments and support systems and things that we do have that can be improved upon or that we can increase the number of. There are things that help IBD now that I think need a lot of focus, fundraising, research, attention now, and I don't want to turn a cold shoulder to that just to look forward to the future for a cure that may or may not ever exist. And I think that because a cure doesn't exist, that makes it all the more important to have positive and strong disability representation all around us in the world to show that people with disabilities can live fulfilling and whole lives and be role models and be strong individuals, and that we don't need to be cured and to be able-bodied in order to do those things. Yes, having a cure would change my life for the better, I assume. If there was a cure, I would try it, because I don't enjoy living with IBD, and these symptoms are tough. Life with a chronic illness is extremely, extremely hard. And so I do think that it is important for researchers to work on finding a cure. And I think that it is important to stay optimistic about it and to not count it out. But I think that when I shifted my focus on a day-to-day basis of waiting for a cure and assuming that it would be there and holding out for that, I think that when I shifted my focus to living in the present and working on what I can control and managing what I can manage with my health right now, I became a much happier person, and I also was able to embrace my identity that I was so reluctant to embrace as a 15-year-old teenage girl. Disabled lives are not only important or useful or worthy when they are cured. Disabled lives are important, worthy, precious, and worth protecting and representing while we are disabled. I hope this video was able to reach you and help you, and if you are newly diagnosed or currently on the path to accepting your diagnosis, I hope this video was able to show you your worth and know that you are valued and worthy of health and happiness with or without a cure. I'll see you on the next one.